The courtroom was packed with reporters, photographers, lawyers, and curious spectators, waiting for what everyone believed would be the final hearing of Ryan Carter, a quiet young courthouse janitor who had been falsely accused of murdering a powerful businessman, wearing a faded dark gray prison uniform and still holding the cleaning mop he had been using before his arrest. Ryan walked into the courtroom with his head held high despite months of public humiliation. Nearly every news channel had already declared him guilty, and even his closest friends had disappeared after the accusations spread across the country. The only person who still believed in him was Emily Brooks, a young defense attorney who had taken his case without asking for a single dollar, because she believed justice should never depend on money. As Ryan stood before the judge, Emily quietly looked at him and whispered, "Trust me for 1 minute. The truth is still on your side." Ryan gave a small nod, although deep inside he feared this would be the day he would lose everything. The prosecutor confidently presented what appeared to be overwhelming evidence, including security footage, fingerprints, and witness statements that all pointed directly toward Ryan. Reporters scribbled notes while photographers captured every expression on his face, convinced they were witnessing the conviction of a killer. Even members of the jury seemed ready to deliver a guilty verdict before the trial had truly begun. But Emily remained calm. She carefully studied every document, every photograph, and every second of the surveillance video, noticing tiny details that no one else had questioned. As the judge prepared to move toward closing arguments, Emily suddenly stood up and respectfully requested permission to present one final piece of evidence that had only arrived moments earlier. The courtroom fell completely silent as everyone turned toward her, unaware that the next 60 seconds would completely change the case and reveal a truth no one had expected. Emily Brooks walked confidently to the center of the courtroom, carrying a small flash drive that had been delivered only minutes before the hearing began by an anonymous courier. The prosecutor immediately objected, insisting that the evidence was too late to be admitted, but after a brief review, the judge allowed Emily exactly 1 minute to present it. The courtroom lights dimmed as the security footage appeared on the large screen. At first it looked identical to the video everyone had already seen, showing Ryan Carter entering the building on the night of the murder with his cleaning equipment. Then Emily paused the video and zoomed in on a reflection in a glass window that investigators had completely ignored. The reflection clearly showed a second man, wearing an expensive black suit, leaving the victim's office several minutes before Ryan even entered the hallway. Emily then synchronized the footage with the building's electronic access logs, proving that someone had used a stolen executive keycard to enter and leave the office while Ryan was cleaning another floor. The courtroom erupted with whispers as jurors leaned forward in disbelief. Emily calmly explained that Ryan's fingerprints were found only because he cleaned the office every evening as part of his job, not because he committed the crime. She then called the courthouse security supervisor, who confirmed under oath that several minutes of surveillance footage had mysteriously disappeared before police collected the evidence. The judge's expression changed instantly as he realized the investigation had serious flaws. Ryan stood silently beside his attorney, unable to believe that the truth was finally beginning to emerge. Suddenly, a nervous businessman sitting in the public gallery quietly stood up and attempted to leave the courtroom. Emily immediately pointed toward him and said, "Your Honor, before anyone leaves, I request that security detain Mr. Victor Hayes." The entire courtroom turned toward the frightened man as court officers quickly blocked the exit. His face turned pale and sweat rolled down his forehead. Emily revealed that Victor Hayes was the business partner of the murdered executive and had secretly transferred millions of dollars from company accounts only hours after the murder. The courtroom fell into complete silence. For the first time since the trial began, everyone realized that Ryan Carter might not be the criminal after all. He might be the innocent man someone had tried to frame. The courtroom remained completely silent as Emily Brooks connected the newly recovered security footage to the courtroom screen. Unlike the edited video shown by the prosecution, this recording displayed the entire sequence of events from multiple cameras. Everyone watched as Ryan Carter finished cleaning the courthouse hallway and left the building. Nearly 20 minutes before the businessman was attacked, gasps echoed through the courtroom as another man, wearing a disguise similar to Ryan's work clothes, entered through a restricted entrance using a stolen security access card. Emily then presented electronic access logs proving Ryan's ID badge had been cloned several days earlier. The courtroom clerk confirmed that the timestamps matched perfectly with the surveillance footage, completely destroying the prosecution's timeline. The lead detective admitted that this evidence had never been available during the original investigation. Suddenly, one of the prosecution's key witnesses began sweating nervously. Emily calmly asked him a series of precise questions until he finally broke down under pressure. With tears in his eyes, he confessed that he had accepted money from a powerful businessman to give false testimony against Ryan. The courtroom erupted in shock. Reporters rushed to the doors to broadcast the breaking news while photographers captured every emotional moment. The judge immediately ordered court officers to detain the witness for perjury and launched an investigation into everyone involved in the conspiracy. Ryan stood frozen, unable to believe that the truth he had waited months to prove was finally coming to light. Emily looked toward him with a gentle smile and quietly said, "I told you, the truth was still on your side." For the first time since his arrest, Ryan felt hope replace fear as the entire courtroom realized they had almost sentenced an innocent man because of lies, manipulated evidence, and corruption. The trial that everyone believed was over had suddenly become the beginning of a much bigger search for justice. The courtroom remained silent as the judge carefully reviewed the newly revealed evidence, the security footage, the electronic access logs, and the witness's confession. After several tense minutes, he looked directly at Ryan Carter and spoke the words Ryan had prayed to hear for months. "This court finds the defendant completely innocent of all charges. Ryan Carter is hereby acquitted and released." Immediately, tears filled Ryan's eyes as the handcuffs were removed from his wrists. Reporters rushed outside to announce the breaking news that the man the entire country had believed was a murderer had actually been the victim of a carefully planned conspiracy. The judge immediately ordered a criminal investigation into the people responsible for fabricating evidence, bribing witnesses, and attempting to send an innocent man to prison. Several corrupt officials and the businessman behind the plot were arrested before they could leave the courthouse. Emily Brooks quietly smiled as Ryan walked toward her. Overcome with emotion, he simply whispered, "Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." Emily replied, "Justice only wins when someone refuses to give up on the truth." The courtroom audience stood and applauded as even the judge praised Emily's determination and integrity. News channels across the country called the case one of the greatest courtroom reversals in recent history. Weeks later, Ryan returned to the courthouse not as a prisoner, but as an honored guest. The court officially apologized for the injustice he had suffered, and he was offered a new position as the courthouse facilities supervisor with full compensation for the months he had lost. Emily's reputation soared, inspiring young lawyers to fight for truth instead of fame. As Ryan looked around the same courtroom where his life had nearly been destroyed, he realized that one person's courage had changed everything. He smiled at Emily, remembering the words she had spoken before the trial began. "Trust me for 1 minute. The truth is still on your side." Those words had saved his future, restored his name, and reminded everyone in the courtroom that lies may survive for a while, but in the end, the truth always finds its voice. The end.